Alright guys, what's up? Today I have a coffee I've been saving for a while. It's a Christmas coffee, I believe. It's the last one I have. Green Mountain Cinnamon Sugar Cookie. One of my all-time favorite coffees. And it's been a rough couple days, so today's the day. Is there enough water? I wanna let me get some more water first. The Keurig used to have a sensor where it would stop if there wasn't enough water. And now it doesn't. So it just like it makes the coffee and I get like 2 ounces or sometimes 8 or 6 depending on how much water is left. And it just ruins the pod basically. I've tried brewing through the pod again to calculate the amount of water that was that were short, but it never tastes as good for whatever reason. Like even when I figure out almost exactly how much was short, and gotta reset it. All right, now we can go. Even when I figure out exactly how much we're short and then tell it to brew exactly that much, it just tastes weird. So, got to make sure the amount of water's in there, especially since this is my last one of that pod. Now, the furnace is working again, but I wasn't able to fix it myself. I tracked down the problem, kind of, but I quickly determined it was something that was beyond my expertise to fix, primarily because if you fuck it up, it's like 2 grand, you know? So we reached a point where I was like, okay, now it's beyond just replacing a fuse or something. We've gone from like $5 to $10 if I mess something up to thousands of dollars if I mess something up. So it's time to call a specialist. I It was primarily a power issue, but I couldn't track down specifically where the power issue was coming from. If it was like the control board, all the fuses I knew about that I found were fine. So I had no idea what was wrong with it. We called the furnace guy. He goes in there and there's another fuse I didn't know about in like the switch. If you guys don't know much about furnaces, most furnaces have like a light switch nearby them where they can just turn the furnace off using that light switch. And that switch actually had a fuse in it that I didn't even know about it. And at first I felt like an idiot. I was like, is this guy really gonna come and just change one fuse and everything is gonna work? And I was like, you know what? Even if that happens, I'm fine with it because I have heat again. But he changed the fuse, flipped the switch, and the new fuse like blew up. It was like a big white flash right in our faces. I'm like, I'm glad I called the professional. So there was apparently a short in the wiring somewhere. He actually took out that whole switch and replaced it with a new one. So everything seems to be working now. Hopefully, the frequent power outages up here don't kill the furnace again. You know, when the first major power outage happened, I went outside. I need to get sugar for this one. So this sugar cookie one, I'm very specific about how I do it. We can do the sugar over here. And I I use the raw sugar and regular half and half with this. I don't put like the sugared creamer in it because it's a very flavorful coffee. So there's a lot going on in here. already. So we just get a little bit of cream and sweetness in there. But yeah, so the first time the power went out up here, I went outside and looked around just to see who else was affected. And every time the power goes down here, it's like a whole area. It's not like it was back in Pittsburgh where it was like a block or two sometimes. It's generally like 2,000 to 5,000 people that are affected when the power out goes down here. It seems like one, we do get more severe weather, so I'm sure that's part of it. But it also just seems like the power infrastructure just isn't as developed up here. So it should have been a hint for me when I went outside and I could hear like 5 different emergency generators going within like a block or two of me. When the power would go out in Pittsburgh, the entire town was just dead silent. But it's like if so many people have emergency generators up here, why do they feel the need for it? Well, it's because the power goes out, I swear to God, like once or twice a month. Maybe not that frequently, but it went out like 2 or 3 times in a row during this whole fiasco. Like the first one took the furnace out, and then the day I was calling the technician to come out and do the furnace, the power was going on and off constantly. It went out, it was like flickering, and then it went out, and then it came back, and then it went out again. So I I think I don't think there's any way I'll be able to prevent it from taking the stream down. Let me make sure I put the right amount of sugar in. Oh yeah, that's good. Maybe a little too much, but just slightly too much. Um, I don't think there's any way I'll be able to prevent it from the power going out, taking the stream down. Even if I get a backup battery, that takes a minute to kick on. I mean, a backup generator, that takes a minute to kick on. And even if I have a battery system that will keep the power to my PC on before the generator kicks on, it's still not going to stop the internet from going out, especially because we have that shitty Verizon Wi-Fi cell phone internet instead of a real hardwired internet up here. So I just have to accept the fact that once I complete the renovations on the studio and I'm back to streaming again, and I just spilled coffee on the floor that I mopped yesterday while I was waiting for the technician to show up. I didn't work on the renovations in the studio at all yesterday because actually I haven't done it the past 2 days, because the previous day I was working on trying to figure out the furnace myself. And then once I figured out it was beyond my ability to repair, I didn't want to work on the studio room because that's the room that the gas shutoff is in. And I didn't want there to be like fresh patch or paint on the walls or on the floor when the furnace guy needed to go in there. So the plan today is to go back to, I just ended up spending the day mopping the floor and cleaning the countertops and stuff. And everything looks nice and clean and smells good in here now. I didn't go like super hard on mopping the floor. There's like some marks and stuff I didn't care to get off, but there was like cherry juice all over the floor because I have these maraschino cherries that I've just been snacking on, and I kind of just shoved my fingers in there like a Neanderthal instead of using a fork or something. So I dripped a little bit of cherry juice on the floor. We cleaned that up. Tonight we are going to go back to working on the studio. I don't really know what I'm gonna do next. I have a lot of cardboard, and there's holes in that wood paneling that I want to patch. I think we talked about that the other day, but I would much rather prefer to do it using plywood or something, but I don't know if I have any of that here. There's a one of those little fold down attics. Let's turn the light on up here. I'm gonna go up there and see if there's any plywood up there. I threw all the extra carpeting materials up there and stuff. And I'll see if there's anything up there I could use. But I don't really want to go through the the struggle of pulling a piece of paneling off the wall just to cut holes this big in it from it to patch the other parts of the wall that I need to paint. So I think we just have to. I have these pieces of cardboard here that I used to use to keep the dining room table from wobbling. So if I can't find any plywood here that I can use, I'm probably just gonna cut those pieces of cardboard and glue them to the wall, and then I'm going to use them and fill the hole with wood patch and sand that down. And hopefully when I paint that, you won't be able to notice. It's not a structural wall or anything. It's just really flimsy interior wood paneling wall. So I'm also going to get out the liquid nails and patch that and part of the floor. So I don't know why, but there are parts of this first floor that I put down that just won't stay down. And it got worse when the carpeting guys came in and stapled stuff to it. Like this one's not too bad, but the really bad one is right here by the wall. No matter what I do, this just keeps popping up. And when they came and they stapled the carpet down, they actually messed this piece up. You can see it's not aligned anymore. But I think I might see if I can take some of the gray paint I have and paint underneath that so it's less noticeable. And then I'm going to liquid nails that shit down so it doesn't. I don't know necessarily need to use the liquid nails. I also have this other flooring adhesive. But if I'm going to use the liquid nails for the wood paneling, this is the general one. It just says bonds to most building materials. So if I'm gonna open this one, I might as well just use it for both. And then I can save the flooring adhesive if I need it for other flooring later. I might eventually redo this or the kitchen floor. The kitchen floor, I mean, the bathroom floor. The bathroom floor probably needs it more. But I'm gonna stop rambling and get to work. So, cheers.